Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO 44 coming at you another video. Alright, so a couple hours after the game ended, I figured I'd give us a couple more thoughts here because, you know, it's a lot, man. I don't think we're as upset as we thought we would be if we dropped game one of the Western Conference Finals. You know what I mean? Western Conference Finals? Yeah, I said that right. I'm going to make sure I get my words out correctly because I've been stumbling over them a lot lately. But we are a team that played pretty well in the fourth quarter tonight. I think well enough to be proud of ourselves, well enough to win the game in some cases if we take a couple shots differently, maybe take a couple possessions back. But this is the thing. That's the hairline difference, I guess you could say. It's just a small um, margin of error that we can allow ourselves in regards to our offensive choices. A lot of teams would leave us a lot more of a cushion because they would be more likely to miss shots. So we need to really respect that. As I said, going into this series, ain't gonna be no bricklayers. You know, there's no Dylan Brooks walking through the door. Klay Thompson's not gonna be bricking in this series. We have to respect that. A lot of our decisions and a lot of our mistakes are gonna really cost us more so against the Denver Nuggets. Now, we may be able to score a little better. It may be a little easier for a guy like Anthony Davis to get off his big points, but as you can see, what the score look like, you're going to need a lot more points to win the game. So while you don't have to worry about 15-point Anthony Davis, 30-point Anthony Davis is going to have the same impact as 15-point Anthony Davis against these scorers. So that's something that we need to just kind of get our head wrapped around right now and accept the fact that we're going to have to tighten up. We're going to have to tighten up, and we can't just think that just because we figured something out that worked that they won't adjust out of that. They may. In fact, scratch that. You better expect they will. So I think you got to just find your balance here. You know, we only lost one game. We did play well in that game. I think we feel like we have the momentum going into the next game. That doesn't give us a victory in this series, but if we can tie up this series, we'll feel damn good about this series. You know what I mean? But we have to accept the fact that we made some mistakes already. We have to accept the fact that we're down for the first time in the playoffs in the series. And they're 7 games away from the NBA championship, and we're 8 games away from the NBA championship. When I say games, I mean wins. That's a problem for me. It's a problem for all of us. They're a lot closer to it than we are right now. And so, LeBron James, I know he's frustrated. I saw the clip of him walking through the tunnel, reflecting a little bit, and probably thinking about some things that could have went well that didn't. Maybe the shot that he took, he probably shouldn't have taken it. But, you know, I mean, it was a lot of good things done there, too. LeBron James just has to understand, as I reflect on something that I've said about our own effort, we gotta know how to honor our own effort already put in. That's what I was saying in regards to getting out of the first round and making it to the second. We had already put in enough effort. We had already put in something that would make it so that we gotta respect what we've put in now. You know what I mean? We've already done so much to get to a point where we're saying to ourselves, okay, now what I'm putting in next, it means something because now I know what it takes to get here. I've already put in that effort, and it wasn't for nothing. So LeBron James needs to look at his offense at the end of these basketball games the same way. You had a highly efficient basketball game, didn't hardly turn the ball over, all these different good things that you did that would give you all the praise at the end of the game, but you fell right back into a tendency that maybe in some super way can create the threat of them thinking that you're going to either be bricking 3-point shots so they leave you open later on, or maybe you find your rhythm and end up hitting that same shot later on when we need you to. But that's not the point, because at the end of the day, what we're trying to manage is risk. And when you drop games like this, the risk that we fail to manage is the possibility of injuries down the road. in unnecessary basketball games that should not have to be played when we win games like this. and how those injury possibilities can change the course of the series. Which is why you got to capture the wins that are yours to take. You don't want to play no extra basketball. Excuse me. And at this point, the Denver Nuggets are a team that's talking about how they don't want to play any extra basketball and how they don't want us to come back to Denver. You understand what I'm saying? They can continue their winning streak at home in these playoffs. They can start thinking about stuff that doesn't involve us at all. And so that's why you don't look at this loss and feel so confident about it as it pertains to what you found in the fourth quarter and how it can carry over into the next game. Because every game is its own game. The next game, you may have those same adjustments go on, but then something goes wrong in the first half. And now you're without some players that you know what I mean? Anything can happen. And because you know anything can happen, you better capture the game you're in. You better win the game you're in. And if you lose that game, you take that momentum with you. But the loss is with you too. And so that's something that we got to understand as we go forward when we make certain decisions that may cost us losses. Feel that. Fear that now. Feel that now. Learn that lesson now. That's what I say to everybody out there in Laker land. Because at the end of the day, if we don't, we're definitely going to lose some more. Ain't no question about that. Leaving yourself open for the type of things that we did, knowing damn well it didn't work. Isn't this what I've been saying all year? Doing stuff that doesn't look like it's going to work on paper and putting it in a position to see it on the court and then proceed to see it not work out. I just don't understand why Darvin would strategize something like that in the Western Conference Finals. Other than to use some type of misdirection that he hopes later on will open up things for him. You know, but the problem with that is the same thing that's already been said. You open yourself up for extra basketball and injury risk because of that. I just know better. I've seen too much playoff basketball to ever think that starting from a deficit is a strategy that a coach should desire. I know better, man. I've seen too many playoff series my whole life to think that that's actually a strategy you should try to jump into. If you happen to find yourself at a deficit, you can strategize that way mentally by saying, okay, we know how to get ourselves out because we're wired to do it. But you don't never put yourself in an actual hole. You know what I'm saying? That is absolutely and utterly crazy to me. And so that's all I can say about that as I continue to see my team do it for real, on purpose, all the time with these small ball stuff. You know, and we've tried to make sense of it. They showcase players that they want to, prioritize financially. Maybe guys, it's always something. It's always some type of method to the madness. But at the end of the day, if it doesn't involve winning, the fans are going to be against it. If it don't involve us seeing immediate success, we're going to have a massive problem with it because we're paying for immediate success. So I don't, excuse me, I don't know what to say other than we had better understand the urgency of game 2, as I was trying to bring to the table in a pregame video this afternoon. Game 1 was a feel-out game, but game 2 was a must-win whether we lost game 1 or not, because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we take control of this series and have some kind of cushion for home game failure. If for some reason this team does find something that works against us, we need to sneak a win early in this series to buy ourselves some time, because if they do get our number in any way, they can end the series early if we drop games early, and here we are dropping games early. So this is what I'm saying to you. It's like you may figure something out, but then something go wrong, boom, now you find yourself in a situation where the series is not going your way even though you have figured something out. You saw how Milwaukee lost the Miami Heat series? That's kind of the concern I have. You know what I mean? It's like you just don't want nothing weird to happen. You never know. And given the fact that this Denver Nuggets team has known one another for several years in a row, even though they haven't necessarily been healthy, The continuity is there. The coach is there. They've been studying each other and studying what they do. They're on a string. And so that's one of those things, is a team that just put itself together halfway through the season. If we're not intent on making good, sound decisions with the basketball, then that team with that continuity is just going to just brush us over, just off of the strength of them being able to work with one another and know one another better than we know one another. So that's why you don't want LeBron taking 3-point shots at the end of the game when you know that's not a high percentage shot for us. That's why you don't want us to strategize Dennis Schroeder starting the basketball game when you know damn well they got 3 7-footers in the starting lineup. Like, these are things that you know not to do before the game even starts. But Darvin Ham will do those things anyway. And, for the sake of all of us, I hope he knows that he's going to be judged by these decisions if they fail. Coaches getting fired left and right. So I know you're in the Western Conference Finals, but people like myself truly believe that the roster would have got here with just about any damn coach. To be honest with you, that's how good this roster actually is. And a lot of us also think this roster would have performed a lot better if we wouldn't have a coach who wants to dig a hole every other game, just for us to try to dig ourselves out of it by overplaying these superstars who just must dig us out of these holes. Is that why we're doing it? Whatever the case may be, if you do it against Nikola Jokic 3 more times, he's going to have 3 more victories and he's going to be in the finals. And why you did it ain't going to matter to nobody. Just that you did it is going to be why they want you gone. So I'm telling you, it's Laker Nation. Just because you made it to the Western Conference Finals does not mean we're going to be ever so grateful as a full fan base. We're just spoiled, man. And we know excellence and we hate failure. Especially when it's done in ways that we know should not be acceptable. If Robert Sacre throws a ball off his foot, that's acceptable. We expect that from him. But with LeBron James being heralded as the smartest player in the world, going up against a guy that we're clearly seeing is probably the smartest player in the world, you can't do stupid stuff, bro. You just can't. And then shooting that 3-point shot when you hadn't hit one all night, under those circumstances, to me, appeared to be not the smartest thing in the world. Not the smartest thing in the world. And I'm not a mind reader, but judging how LeBron James looked when he walked off that court, I'm pretty sure he'd like to have some of them shots back. Just a guess. So that's where I'm at with that, man. I don't think I'm lacking in balance in regards to the optimism going into the next game. I just think I'm sensing too much of it. I'm usually on the opposite end of what everybody else is thinking. Going into this series, I was trying to psych myself into respecting the Denver Nuggets. After one game, I suspect that respecting the Denver Nuggets is something I should still seek opportunities in doing. They have gained a great deal of my respect based on how potent they shot at home against us. I thought they really hit some trick type shots that I think the jury's still out if they can duplicate that or not. Listening to their fan base, just judging by the overall sentiment, they believe their team can do better than that. And if their team can do better than that, we actually are in trouble. Because essentially that will negate our defense in some ways and make it so that even as we're scoring efficiently, they'll be able to one-up us like they did tonight. But I don't think any of that's possible without a significant rebounding advantage, which we basically gave to them in the start of the game. We fronted them like 25 boards to start the game, basically. That's basically what we did. And I think that would be needed in order for them to get 135 points. I don't think they get 135, whatever it was, 137 points if Jokic doesn't do all that he did in the first quarter, and then Jamal Murray, KCP, and all them boys hit every last one of the damn shots they hit. They're an efficient 3-point shooting team. So, like I said, the jury's out if they can do what they did tonight again and again and again and again. If they hit shots like that every night, this ain't going to be a very long series. I'm just going to tell you, it ain't. But I don't think I've seen anybody shoot like that, not only this year, but in a couple of years. So, if this wasn't peak Denver, then they're probably going to win the championship. And it ain't going to be a whole lot to really hang your head down about, because we'll look back on them as one of the greatest offensive teams to ever play. And that's just what they're about to define. If they can keep doing this every night. You know what I mean? It's that real. It's just like when the Detroit Pistons were beating the Lakers back in '06 or whatever it was. You gained respect for them in real time for what it was that they actually were. And you go into the series, you don't see what ultimately you look back on them and see now. You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. So they'll define it. If they're really the best offensive team in the world that can just do this every night, then damn it, that's what we're about to see. But they're going to have to get past some adjustments that we're about to make. And we saw in the fourth quarter what those adjustments can look like when they're successful. So that's the reality of it. But at the end of the day, we're still down a game. And we should be offended by that. We should be offended by not anything anybody else did, but just how ultimately lethargic we started the game. How silly we were with the various decisions that we made. And we know which ones those things were. And so we remove the silliness. And you get back out there. You don't expect to shoot as well as you did. You don't expect them to shoot as well as they did. So those are two things we got to respect. We shot, 47% from mine arc? That's not how we usually shoot, y'all. You know what I mean? We usually shoot in the 20s. But we usually keep it low. 26 attempts, maybe 7 makes, something like that. That's how we usually do it. So we shot exceptionally well tonight from both the field, the free throw, and the three. Kept our turnovers down and still lost. It's just, those are hard pills to swallow, man. Real tough pills to swallow when you consider the fact that we erased that deficit. We're within 3 with like 4 minutes to go. This is just horrible. And the reason why it's so horrible is because you can find yourself somewhere near the end of the series looking back on this game saying if we would have won it, this moment wouldn't be so damn hard. You know? Like, you see that coming one way or another. That's coming. If we would have just won game 1, we wouldn't have to be in this situation right now. If we would have just won game 1, I mean, that's inevitable, man. That's inevitable. And so you just look at situations like this, you just say, man, what we need to do in this series at some point is take a game from the Denver Nuggets. And I'm not talking about winning the game. I'm talking about the way that we had felt like we could have won this game and didn't. They need a game like that at some point in time during this series, where they are supposed to win and we just snatch that thing from them. That's how you get back what was lost in this series. Because what it really comes down to is, it's not in what it is that I'm assessing. It's about momentum. It's about not just the home court advantage in a literal sense, but it's about how tendencies work. And so when tendencies lean into you being successful, you have to win. Because there are going to be games when things that you do definitely do not work and you lose, or games look like as if they're supposed to be failures and or what have you. So this was a game that we were supposed to steal from the Denver Nuggets, because they had shot so very well and all these different rebounding, things, historic numbers from Jokic, and we still had a chance to win it. In my mind, that's a game we're supposed to win, not the other way around. That's what I'm saying to you. In my mind, that's our win. Not that we were down 27, that we came back. We should have won. There's no excuse for not winning this game, as far as I can tell, based on what it is that I'm assessing here in regards to taking one back from them. So that's the fullness of the thought. We got to get one back, man. We got to catch them on a game where they're absolutely not supposed to win. And so that's what I'm hoping the Lakers are doing game 2. They haven't lost a game at home in a very long time. So they're not supposed to lose game 2 either, based on the tendencies and what we've seen. So we must take this basketball game. It's the same thing I said in the pregame video. It's the same thing that I've said in regards to strategizing any series when you don't have home court advantage to start. You must get the split. You must get the split. And if you get the split, you can go back home, win all your home games, and win the series without ever having to win in Ball Arena again. But at some point in time, in order to win this series, we must win in Ball Arena. So it has to be early in the series. You don't want it to be Game 7. You feel me? You don't want that. And so that's really where we're at with this. The Lakers must win Game 2. Game 2 is a must-win for strategic purposes. It's a must-win for morale. And it's a must-win in regards to just dealing with the altitude difference in this series. You don't want to be going back and forth to Denver, especially later in the series when it's 1-1. You do not want that. We don't want that. So what we need to do is take Game 2 and then strategize from there without getting ahead of ourselves. But our goal is to try to end the series as soon as humanly possible on the top end of it. You know what I mean? If at all possible. I believe it is very possible with the roster that we have. I think it's very possible what we saw in the fourth quarter. Some of those adjustments, I think, are permanent. If we get Rui back in here and he continues to shoot and defend the way that he has in the start of this series, he's going to have a good series. Austin Reeves, like I said, he looks like he's not banged up anymore. Some of the banged up issues that he had to start the Golden State series, he don't have those to start the series. He looked good tonight. So these are things that are very much encouraging to me. How easily it was for Bron to get to the lane and bully them dudes. How easy it was for AD to shoot over guys. There's a lot of stuff there to like within this first game of this series. So there's balance. We got to stay healthy. We got to utilize what it is that we know works for us as opposed to all that dumb stuff we did earlier in this game. And ultimately keep a good attitude about next play, next man up. Never get too high, never get too low. You know, we're not down 3-1 in the series. We're down 0-1 in the series. The series just got started and this ain't nothing serious yet. So that's really what it is. We just got to respect the loss and apply some pressure to the Denver Nuggets to see if we can get one in Ball Arena. You know, that's really what it's about. I don't think this is going to be a short series. I said Lakers in 6. But dropping the first game was something that I did not want to see happen in this series. But here we are. So we don't complain. We don't do too much. We just sit here and understand that humility and continuing the process of studying and rest for this team is important. With 2 days rest in between these games, they need to be practicing and resting. There needs to be a balance there. And look, I didn't get on D'Lo in the last video very much. I kind of skipped over him a little bit, but he is struggling in these playoffs in some really, really inconsistent ways. And although he provides us such fantastic shooting, he really is struggling in ways that maybe require for us to kind of move on from him a little bit. Now, I don't know if that's, again, every game is different with a guy with that type of talent. You know that he can help you no matter what. At the end of the day, with his shooting ability and his overall passing ability and the various things that he can do, you want D'Lo out there for sure. But we can't have starts like we had tonight. Not at all. And I don't know how much of that was affected by Schroeder's presence in that starting lineup. Maybe it was. You put him down with a bit more rim protection, he probably looks better himself. But at the end of the day, we just got to have him give us some more consistency. It's starting to be a situation where I'm starting to lose faith in his ability to perform consistently in these playoffs. You know, it just is what it is. It just seems like on certain nights he has it, on other nights the lights are too bright. And when just like Russell Westbrook, you never really know. You just don't know. And so that's really what it comes down to. I need consistency from D'Lo. He's further into his career than what I would expect inconsistency like this would come from a player, you know? He's like 27, 28 years old. I don't expect for him to play this poorly. I really don't. I don't find myself cool with how he's playing, and I think I want to give him his, give him a break in regards to the calluses. We've discussed a lot about what it is. He's in pain a good portion of the time, and all of that is important to note. So we got to manage him, and we got to keep that in mind when we ask him to do certain things, and that's on Darvin Ham. So, I don't want to act like if he were to heal up, he wouldn't be a better version of himself, because he probably would be. And I don't know how long he's been dealing with these calluses. So when I assess last year's playoffs, for all I know, he's been dealing with that since then. I don't know. But what I can tell you is this playoffs, he's struggling. He's had some good games, but mostly struggling. And so I think Darvin Ham needs to really, really consider how much D'Lo can help him in this series, or what D'Lo's role is going to be. Can he tweak it a little bit so that we can kind of lean into what D'Lo does well and maybe get away from what we've seen him struggle with? I just want to kind of nip any struggles in the bud early in this series, stuff that we can do something about. We got 1 million guards on this team. I don't have to live and die with anybody who's struggling. So that's really what I meant with regards to D'Lo. Minus 26, I think he was the worst player on the floor or something like that. That can never be the case with a player that's expecting to cash in like he's expecting to cash in as our starting point guard next year. You just got to play better, bro. And you gotta help your team get over the hump. If we're struggling scoring the ball, we can't have single digits out of you. You're a 3-point shooter. So launch some of those up, man. I don't know what to tell you. I just feel like he's been a bit bashful, a bit tentative. When he's fouling people, he's fouling soft. It's the Western Conference Finals, brother. This is the difference between getting a ring or not. You're going to have a lot of regrets if you don't lay it all on the line. You're going to have many a game you can play passive in. Don't do it in these rare moments that don't come around every year. Seize the moment, my man. You don't know if you're going to be back in this situation ever again, let alone next year. And that goes for everybody, not just D'Angelo Russell. So I was a bit disappointed in just his overall intensity as it pertains to these playoffs. In the good games where he's played well, he's really helped us. But I just don't think he really understands, like, yo, you may not ever get this moment again. You got to get out there and get dirty, man. Feel the moment. Feel the moment. I was pleased to see him put up shots. Him and Max Christie got some shots up after the game. I take it he's telling himself some variation of what it is I'm saying in this camera right now. So I'm encouraged by that. And I think it'll translate to him playing better in game 2. And so that's what I'll stop with that. I'm not going to end on a negative note with D'Lo. But it is very important that we get more out of him. If we're expecting to win this series, he can't struggle. So that's something that needs to be said. If we can just get everybody on the same page, we will get out of this series unscathed. But we cannot afford defensive lapses or offensive efficiency lapses. What I do like about seeing the Denver Nuggets is that this is yet another level. My assessment of the Golden State Warriors being a better team, the jury's out on that right now. Only because I think the Denver Nuggets are just a more polished basketball team. When I think about all the brick shots and the lack of discipline the Golden State Warriors showed me versus what I saw from the Denver Nuggets tonight, which didn't have any of those issues, I just think the jury is really out on my opinion about the Golden State Warriors versus this Denver team. I will have to watch more Denver games if they keep playing like this. That's over with. I will have to renege on that entirely. So that's really what I got to say, man, in regards to the Denver Nuggets. I hope the Lakers are able to get game 2, but with the jury being out, I really don't know what the Nuggets can do as it pertains to, can they overachieve like the Miami Heat are, even though they don't have the greatest roster? Can they just play a brand of basketball that blows everybody out, and so on and so forth? Nikola Jokic is obviously a great enough player to do things that are unprecedented. So we saw a little bit of that tonight. I don't think he's done. He's going to do more unprecedented stuff throughout the course of this series, just like he's done throughout the course of his career. So, if we think we've seen his best, think again. So that's what I got to say about Jokic. I'm pretty certain that he could do this a lot, and he's going to drive us crazy doing it. But just the same, we have Anthony Davis, and I thought Anthony Davis showed me some very good sequences on this dude. And, even though I think the wear down possibility is a concern, I'm also concerned for Jokic that even though he's able to bang with AD, once he gets his shot up, AD's going to swat it a lot of the time. AD's going to frustrate him just as much as he frustrates AD, and they're going to have to battle it out. They're going to have to battle it out and tell us which one of these Titans is really the king of this series. And so that's really what I have to say about Anthony. I think Anthony showed me that he can score on Jokic, but he also showed me that he ain't going to be able to stop Jokic at all. Those who say he ain't going to be able to stop Jokic, you're right. He ain't. But Jokic is not going to be able to do everything that he does on Anthony consistently. And Jokic most definitely also cannot stop AD. So this is going to be a battle of the Titans. And I'm with my guy, man. I like AD for me because he plays both sides of the ball consistently. And so, in fact, I thought tonight's defense wasn't his best night. And I think you're going to see a much better defensive Anthony Davis in game 2. And throughout the course of this series, you're going to see him dominate defensively in ways you did not see tonight. And so, the slow start that the Lakers got out to, I hope the Nuggets don't expect that to be something they're going to see every night. It ain't. I guarantee you we ain't going to get off to a slow start like that. And also, Vanderbilt playing 11 minutes in this game was just a mistake. You got to get Vanderbilt into this series. I understand the offensive deficiencies that we have there, but those are just choices. They're not the rule. You choose to pass him the rock over in the corner and tell him to shoot the three. If he doesn't hit it, it isn't a rule that because he didn't hit it, you sit him down. All the other things that he brings to the table that are positive need not be negated just because he didn't hit that damn three. Especially when you're assessing Schroeder being in the starting lineup and not assessing any of the negativity that comes with that. So when we talk about what we need, if you don't have Vanderbilt down there to guard Murray, if you don't have Vanderbilt down there to try to help deflect certain things to get offensive rebounds and break up some of them very, very poignant offensive plays that they're going to run all series long, then we're going to play into their hands. You can't have Vando on your team and not use him. like for those who know basketball, for those who know who this player is, you understand why this is a thing. That's a weapon. That's a defensive specialty weapon. And to only play it 11 minutes, it's essentially saying that you don't realize what you have, or you don't know how to use it. And so that's a problem, Darvin. I know we got a bunch of forwards, 2 of them are stars, but damn it, you got one of the best perimeter defenders in the world. And we were having troubles fighting around screens because you were having Austin Reeves trying to guard Jamal Murray. Vanderbilt should be guarding Jamal Murray. You need to put Vanderbilt on Jamal Murray and make him fight around them screens properly. Because all that stuff we were doing in the first half with those screens, the way they were setting them, they were rubbing us all the way out of those plays. Jokic is going to be able to have success like that all series long if we don't make that adjustment. So I didn't like how we fought around screens against the Golden State Warriors. And it seems like we're carrying over that same defensive mindset. So I think we need to tweak that. Pay attention to the way that they're setting those screens, the type of little geometry that they're doing in regards to setting those screens in the spacing. Because that is going to be telling Jokic is one of the best screen setters in the league. And it allows for him to make all kinds of passes. Also, we got to look for the moving screen. He got away with 1 or 2 of those tonight. Some of them, screen and rolls and all that. Make sure the referee's on top of that. And so yeah, that's what I wanted to kind of throw in there as well. Our perimeter defense needs to improve dramatically, to say the least, and our transition defense needs to improve dramatically, to say the least. I thought both of those things tonight weren't very good. We had one good transition play that stood out in my mind in the second quarter, I believe it was. But all in all, we must do better stopping them from getting the fast ones. Yeah, so, I don't know if we want to force Jokic to maybe be a shooter a little more. I always think that having him be a scorer is your best bet, because if he's getting a bunch of assists, getting everybody else going, that's how they're killing you. You don't want Jamal Murray getting off and KCP getting off, because you're going to see what you saw tonight. You saw how many points they got? 130 something points. I don't think that we can beat them if that's what they're going to average. I don't think we can score that every night. I don't think we can score that most nights. So we gotta get them hovering under 110 points if we want to win the series. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna have to get them hovering around 104, 102. We need that to popping off around here. And so I respect that we can get up to the 125s. Like I said, I love how we scored tonight. But I don't think we shoot much better than this most nights. I don't, this is how good we shoot on a good night. So that's a little concerning, even though I know the adjustments we made in the lethargy kind of tell the story a little bit. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. These are the results. So we just have to be on alert until we're able to gather a win in this series. And then from there, we can feel a bit more balanced. So a loss is a loss is a loss. You can take all the good from the loss. At the end of the day, it's an L. And so we just have to swallow that. But I think that there was so much to take from this series, this game, that you feel good about your chances, In fact, I think some people feel better about their chances. Those who were really pessimistic about this series, I think they feel like we can probably do more. So that's a good thing. At any rate, I think I got all that I wanted to say out in this video. I'm hopeful that something won't pop back up right as I turn it off, because that's how it usually goes for me. But, I just really appreciate the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. Losing the game didn't deter me from believing that we can win the series. I thought we did everything that we needed to do in the fourth quarter to make us feel like we could win the game, except for just closing the game out. Once you get it between when you get a 3-point situation going on where you got a 1-possession game and it's like 2 minutes left, I feel like I should be winning those games. I feel like the Los Angeles Lakers roster should win those games. And so we had that scenario tonight and we didn't close. And so we got to study that, figure that out, and then go back and do better. And that's really it. That's it, man. I like the extra effort that guys are willing to put in afterward. I think the whole team should be in the gym doing that. So kudos to D'Lo and Max and whoever else was in there with them. So that is what I have to say, man. Bron, don't get down on the shot too much. Just understand that for every one of those shots you miss, you're telling yourself that all of the effort you put in, it didn't mean much. Because that's ultimately what you were willing to give it, a 22% shot. That's how I took it. Maybe it's something grander than that. Maybe it's much smarter and much deeper than that. I don't know. BDL 44. I thank you all for watching.